Why, hello everybody, greetings and salutations, happy Saturday, happy we survived the apocalypse day, all that jazz. Now, 2012 is nearing its end, and while I still have a couple more movies to see before I make my top and bottom 10 of the year, we can still look ahead to the year of movies that will be 2013, and we have a little tradition around here, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my top 10 most anticipated films of 2013. At number 10, Joseph Kosinski's Oblivion. Oblivion is a film that was kind of under the radar for a little while. I'd heard of it and read the plot synopsis on IMDb, but I really wasn't terribly interested. However, the trailer that was recently released just has completely turned me around. Not only am I excited to see Tom Cruise give another incredible physical action performance after his fantastic turn in Jack Reacher, but you've also got Morgan Freeman in here, and not to mention, this just looks like a very human sci-fi film. It's a film that looks like it's going to have these massive action sequences, but at the same time, stay very rooted in human emotion. That's all I can ask from a film of this genre. Also, while Tron Legacy was a tad disappointing, director Joseph Kosinski is definitely talented, and the writer of this movie is the guy writing the new Star Wars. His name is Michael Arndt, so it'll be very interesting to see how he handles a sci-fi story. At number 9, we have Thor: The Dark World. I swear, you could put dark in the title of any sequel and it just sounds foreboding. In fact, that same principle could apply to a movie that appears later on this very list! More subtle than a bazooka. Not a whole ton to say about this one. Thor and the Avengers were some of the best comic book movies in recent years. I love this character. Chris Hemsworth is fantastic. I can't wait to see the conflict with Loki continue. I can't wait to see what Game of Thrones director Alan Taylor brings to this film to make it very fantastical, but at the same time very grounded with high stakes. I'm just excited to see how this thing comes together, but there's not a whole lot to say because there's not really any trailers or footage from it yet. At number 8, the return of the greatest action star of all time, The Last Stand. Arnold! He's coming back to us! Yeah! I'm kind of excited. Is there a possibility for failure with this movie? Absolutely. Arnold could come off just old and dumb and not as good as he used to be. But the prospect of a good Arnold Schwarzenegger movie again, of him just going into a town and kicking ass, how can you not be excited about that? Especially if you love old 80s action movies like I do. While I'm not terribly excited to see Johnny Knoxville by his side, the fact that it is Arnold Schwarzenegger sells this movie enough for me. And while The Tomb, coming out later this year with him and Sylvester Stallone, will probably end up being the better movie, I'm more excited for this one merely because it's a solo film, and from what I hear, we're in good hands, because the Asian director of this film has directed a couple films that I hear are pretty good, including one called The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, that I hear is absolutely incredible. At number 7, Pacific Rim. A Guillermo del Toro film where giant robots beat the shit out of giant monsters. Enough said. At number 6, The Wolverine. Now this movie obviously does come in with a certain amount of apprehension at the start because the massive disappointment that was X-Men Origins Wolverine, which way back in the day of my high squeaky voice, I put as my number 1 most anticipated movie of 2009. But this movie really feels like they're trying to improve wholeheartedly. Not only is the script written by the brilliant Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote The Usual Suspects and Jack Reacher, but it's directed by a wonderful man named James Mangold, who directed Walk the Line and 3:10 Yuma. And the movie really feels like it's taking a darker, more artistic tone than most other superhero movies that is completely based on this character and everything you can do with him, with his morality, his mortality, and his psyche. And everything I've seen with the interviews with the director and everything really make me excited to see Wolverine finally take on his Japan saga. At number 5, Iron Man 3. This is actually a very similar situation with Wolverine. The previous film in the series, not the Avengers, Iron Man 2, was a disappointment, and now a new director has come in to take on a darker, more personal tone, but this one just looks bigger and better, and I love this character more than Wolverine, so I put him above him. Robert Downey Jr., always fantastic. With the addition of director Shane Black from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and writer of Lethal Weapon, not to mention Guy Pearce and Ben Kingsley, two fantastic actors as the villains, This thing is really going to be probably Marvel's best film to date. I'm predicting that this one will probably come out on top of the Avengers just because of the more personal, character-driven tone this movie seems to be taking. Number 4, Place Beyond the Pines. This looks like an absolutely beautiful movie that's a perfect combination of director, cast, and story. The filmmaker is Derek Cianfrance, and I know I just butchered his name, who directed Blue Valentine, which was a wonderful story-driven film. You've got Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Ava Mendes, and Dane DeHaan, who are all great actors in the film, and the story seems really fascinating. You've got this movie where it's two fathers watching their town slip into corruption. Ryan Gosling is a bank robber, and Bradley Cooper, I think, is a cop. And it's just watching these two lives crumble and then watching their sons have to live up to that. And it just looks like a really powerful drama that's incredibly well shot and well made. And I'm surprised it didn't come out at the end of this year after its premiere at the Toronto Film Festival, because this thing, I would think, looks like a major Oscar contender. Now, remember my really subtle implication from before? Might come in handy right about now. At number 3, J.J. Abrams' Star Trek Into Darkness. Coming from someone who's not particularly a Star Trek fan, I am in love with J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek reboot. It was a perfect summer blockbuster, and this film really looks like it's carrying on the tradition. Not only you got the cast returning in fine form and Abrams, but you also have this great-looking villain in the form of Benedict Cumberbatch, who is from the show Sherlock, which if you haven't watched, I highly recommend you do, who just looks like this incredibly foreboding villain, probably the best of the year, and it just looks like another incredible sci-fi summer blockbuster that I just can't wait to see. At number 2, Superman Returns in Man of Steel. Get it? Superman Returns? That movie sucked. I am not in the slightest a Superman fan. I think he's one of the most bland comic book characters we have out there, which is a testament to how good this movie looks. Zack Snyder looks like he's really made a beautiful film here that really gives the character of Superman some depth. That moment in the trailer that really sold me is not any of the action sequences, but when there's the scene between Clark and Pa Kent, where Pa Kent says maybe he should have let the kids on this bus that drowned die instead of save them. It just seems like it's got all these great moral questions within the film that really seem to kind of highlight what being an alien from another planet would actually be like. Not to mention these incredible visuals and the script by Christopher Nolan and David Goyer. I think Christopher Nolan actually only produced this, but David Goyer is a great writer. And it just looks like it's going to be this big, massive, incredible film and an epic for the ages that I just can't wait to witness. And at number 1, we've got Neil Blomkamp's Elysium. They delayed this movie from March to August. We were so close! Neil Blomkamp is an incredible filmmaker who exploded out of the gate. No, he didn't just explode out of the gate. He exploded the gate into nothingness with his debut film, District 9. That was an incredible mix of sci-fi and social commentary that I feel was robbed for a Best Picture win at the Academy Awards. But that's beside the point. He looks like he's made another film that repeats that same process here. You've got a great cast of Matt Damon and Jodie Foster, and you got a really interesting sounding story with these people who are living on this advanced space station that has all their resources and everything they need, and the rest of the world living in a slum of destroyed Earth. It sounds like so much fun. I can't wait to watch it and just let this beautiful sci-fi originality just glow all over me. I don't know, glow is not a word. It is now. But it's going to be fantastic, and the fact that they delayed it infuriates me, but also shows that the studio has high confidence in the movie, since March is typically a dumping ground, and August is typically a month for summer blockbusters. And that's my list of the top 10 most anticipated films of 2013. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. The top 10 movies to dread in 2013, which will be a hell of a lot of fun, will be coming up very soon. But until next time, I'm Michael Fairbanks.